Welcome. We are continuing our experiment of trying a podcast to reach more different Oxford residents to talk about the issues that we think and hope matter most to you. Today, joining me is Ben Addley, the CAO of Oxford County, who you met in the first podcast, and Frank Gross, who is the Senior Manager of Transportation and Waste Management, because today we are going to talk about all things waste management. And I'll turn it over to Ben.
Thanks, Warden Ryan. It's great to be here for episode number 2. I think we enjoyed the first time, so look forward
Apparently
to...
people liked it, too.
Apparently it was even listened to, so that's always a good part.
Yep.
So, yeah, like I said, today we're going to talk about waste and waste management and all the changes that are happening. There are significant number of things changing between now and 2025 and through till 2027. So things like new green bin collection program, or organics as most people refer to it as. The county is going to be implementing a new 6-day collection cycle for garbage. There's going to be changes to recycling programs and how the blue box and the materials in blue box are collected and by who. And then as well to talk about the new fee structure for garbage bag tags. So those are all some of the things that we want to talk about today.
So let's start with what's been in the news recently, and the thing that certainly I've got the most questions about, specifically about all those changes, has been bag tags. So essentially, we've got a bill to be paid. The practice of the county in the past has been that we would pay for the cost of collection through the price of bag tags. And recently council decided to increase the price of those bag tags. Like, can you explain a little bit of detail, Frank, behind all the information and the reports from staff that led to that recommendation and council agreeing with that recommendation?
Yeah, thank you, Warden. So as you said, County Council recently approved an increase in the bag tag fee from $2 to $3. And that was so that we can sustain that program and so that it remains fully funded from the bag tag revenue. So the revenue goes towards the collection of garbage, tipping fees that are charged to the program, and disposal fees, and then there's some admin costs like staff time to manage that program. So that's fully funded from bag tag revenue, as well as it provides surplus that we can put into the reserve to save for any fluctuation in cost. So that
so when the cost goes up a little bit, we don't change the bag tag to $3.10.
Exactly.
So it all evens out over time.
That's right. So there's a surplus in there to cover any variances in the cost over year to year.
So, Frank, is that why we saw such a bigger increase this time when it went from $2 to $3? Like I said, we don't want to necessarily have tiny changes every year. It's been a significant amount of time since that bag tag charge has increased, hasn't it?
That's right. 2015 was the last time it was increased, and that's when it was.
So a decade.
A decade, yeah. So increased to $2 at that time.
Yeah. And again, because a lot of residents, when they talk to me, they say, "Don't I pay for this in my taxes? Why do I have to pay for the bag tag?" But the bag tag fees pay entirely for all the collection of the waste and then the tipping fee at the landfill site.
That's correct.
Yeah, so really on that, you're right. There are different models out there. Different municipalities use different things. We use the user pay system, and that allows the individual residences to have some control on how much they put out, right? Are they putting out 2 bags? Are they putting out 3 bags? Can they condense that? Can they use some of these other programs that we're going to talk about to reduce the amount of garbage they put out and reduce the number of bag tags? Whereas the other option is just put it on everybody's taxes. Right. And then everybody would just pay the same amount regardless of whether they're a high user or whether they're a low user. So, again, that's why, council had originally directed staff to go that route. Well,
and tell me if my math is wrong here, Frank, but I mean, the alternative to a $3 bag tag, if it was to be no bag tag, would be, I think it's about a 5.5% tax increase across the board, everybody pays. So in order to keep it at $2 instead of going up to $3, it would be like a 1.8% tax increase to generate the same amount of revenue to collect the waste.
That's right. I think we actually had estimated about a 3% increase to taxes if bag tags remained at $2.
3% if it stayed at $2. Right. So, I mean, essentially, there's a bill to be paid here. The truck's got to drive. I mean, trucks have to drive literally down every single road in Oxford County and collect stuff. So if we're paying that bill, if we're not paying it out of bag tags, we're paying it out of taxation. If we pay it out of taxation, you pay the same as me, even if you do a really good job and only put out 1 bag every 2 weeks, and I put out 3 bags every week. We both pay the same taxes and fill the landfill. I fill up the landfill faster if I do that.
Yeah. And you may not even be getting the service, so you may pay taxes
And not-
and not use a service. So if you have a farming operation, you might have a
Right.
bin that you're using a private service. So
Right. But you'd be paying for taxes to have it collected. Whereas this way, if you use your bin, you're paying for whatever service you want and you don't pay for a bag tag.
Yeah, so like we said, that's part of the control that the resident has then. And one of the things we're doing to help with that is kind of the excitement around bringing in a new green bin program or organics collection. And this will allow users of the system to actually divert some of that garbage and put it into the organics program instead. So that's going to be starting in January of 2026 in Woodstock and Southwest Oxford. And then for the rest of the county, it'll be countywide by 2027. So, maybe Frank, you can detail for us, like, what does the green bin program actually take out of the garbage, and how can residents, be more efficient that way?
yeah, so the green bin will allow residents to separate kitchen waste essentially. So food waste, peelings, bones, coffee grounds, and even things like a pizza box that's been contaminated with grease that you haven't been able to put in
That one that we always wanted to recycle but knew we couldn't.
So now that can go into your green bin, for example. So, and tissues, paper, things like that. So, approximately half of the material by weight that you currently have in your black bag can go in the green bin. We estimate about 30% of that by volume. So, should be able to reduce your garbage set out by a third.
So if we go to, so about 30% by volume.
Right.
So like I said, easily then people could quite conceivably reduce their number of garbage bags they put out in a year by 25% by green bin alone, by a quarter basically, relatively easily just by using the green bin.
That's right.
They'd buy 25% less bag tags.
Right.
Okay. So also then starting 6-day collection cycles in 2026, which it's new to everywhere in Oxford except Southwest Oxford. So Mount Elgin, et cetera area. They've been doing that for, I don't know, 8 years?
I think it's 2017.
2017, yeah. 8 years-ish. So they've been doing that there for a long time, but now starting in 2026, that's going to be everywhere in Oxford County. And can you explain a little bit, what does 6-day collection look like? We say it all the time because we know what it is, we've read all the reports, but for residents who don't understand, what does 6-day collection mean? Can you detail that a little bit so they know what they can experience?
Sure. So like a 5-day in comparison, a 5-day rotation is you have your garbage and recycling or your green bin collected on the same day every week. So a 6-day rotation is essentially a 6-day routing through 5 days. So say on week 1, your collection might be on the Monday. Then
Mine is in Zora Township.
Right.
Mine's on Monday. So right now it's every Monday.
That's right. So then the following week would be on the Tuesday.
Okay. So this week was Monday. Next week would be Tuesday.
And so on. So
next week could be Wednesday.
That's correct. Okay. So when you get to the Friday, then obviously so every 6th week you're going to miss a collection in that week.
Right. So if this week was Friday for me, then the next 5-day week, I would not get collection.
That's right.
But then I would get it on the Monday.
You get it on the Monday.
Because that'd be the 6th business day. Okay.
Right. And what that does is it allows us to, when a stat holiday occurs, it doesn't affect collection.
Right.
So right now, in parts of the county, we collect on a stat holiday. And, people often forget that pickup happens on the stat holiday, so they either don't set out or they're away for a long weekend, for example. So
they miss the collection day anyway.
Yeah, staff that work for the collection contractor have to work. County staff have to work at the landfill site. So by implementing the 6-day countywide, we can reduce some of that.
So there's an inherent efficiency in the overall cost of collection by doing that 6-day collection, the 6 days, but also not doing it on the stat days.
That's right.
Yeah.
And nobody will be skipped in that process. They'll just be the next collection day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then that means that if I could reduce how much waste I put in my garbage by 25% by using the green bin, right? By volume.
Right.
And then 6-day collection means, so right now I have 52 collection days a year. How many am I going to have under 6-day?
It'll be approximately 42.
Approximately 42.
10 less.
So 10 less.
Yeah.
So between those two, I pay more for bag tags for individual bag tag, but I might actually end up spending about the same over a whole year on bag tags as I do now because of those two different changes.
That's right. Might be a net zero at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. Right. Depending on how aggressively people recycle and green bin and everything. Okay. All right.
Yeah, there'll definitely be opportunity for people. Residents will have a little more control about how much waste they put out and
and certainly residents that I've talked to about this, at first they were like, I don't want to pay $1 more for a bag tag. And then I talked to them about it and they said, well, actually I do want to because I like that control. So you mean if I compost and if I recycle, I don't have to buy it. And they were like, yeah, I do want that. Nobody likes the cost of anything to go up, but given the choice between that and the taxes, most residents said to me, I actually do want that control so that I can decide how much I pay on my waste collection instead of me basically deciding how much they pay on their waste collection.
Interesting you mentioned recycling,
Yeah.
because that has been the biggest diversion piece that residents have had to date. And we are no longer going to be the recyclers. We're not going to be doing that collection at the county level or through our contractors anymore. Frank, this new producer responsibility is taking it out of the hands of the county. So it's not even something really within our control, but it's obviously going to have a significant impact on the residents. Can you explain to us what's happening with that change and how that's going to occur?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the new blue box regulation that was passed by the provincial government requires producers of consumer products to take responsibility for product packaging. So paper products and product packaging is now the responsibility of the producers to recycle. So what that means is they'll essentially hire contractors to provide the curbside collection. So residents, really won't see a change in the service. They'll still get curbside collection we expect it to be on a weekly basis. It might not be the same day as garbage and organics, but they'll still get that same service where they'll set their bin out of recycling material and it get picked up. It'll be paid for by the producers, or it'll be collected on behalf of the producers.
And provided by somebody not Oxford County.
Correct.
Now, there will be some differences that residents will experience, though potentially, Frank. They may not have their collection on the same day, you said, so it could be a different day than what their waste collection is, which is not what they typically experience now. So
that's right.
Will we be able to, I know the answer you're going to tell me is we're going to be able to communicate this out. We're going to continue to message this. We'll use things like the Waste app to update things on the 6-day cycle so people can have a better understanding of when that collection will be for them.
That's right. So the producers or the organization that's representing the producers, they'll be providing material for residents, and we'll be partnering with that agency too to ensure that the messaging gets out along with all the other changes. So we expect that residents will still continue to contact the municipalities, but we'll slowly educate them as to where they can get answers for that kind of thing. But
I do want to be really clear for any residents like listening or watching to this podcast that Oxford County Council formally said that we do not think this was a good idea. We told the province, we said, we think we have a very good recycling program. We think I think at one point we were in the top bracket of municipalities in the whole province with respect to diversion rates to recycling, which means we're not filling up our landfill, which we have to pay for. So we told the province that we did not think this was a good idea. We thought producer responsibility was a good idea in general, but this model we thought was not a good idea, that it might lead to lower rates of diversion, which means it will fill up our landfill faster. But the province has decided to do that anyway, which is their right, but it's also their responsibility. So that means that when this program starts, as Frank has said, it will not be Oxford County who will be responsible for your recycling collection anymore. Again, we know that you will call us and we will answer as best we can, but we won't be able to answer all your questions because we're not responsible for doing it. I just want to be crystal clear with people because that's going to be a big change. We have done recycling for, most of what anybody can remember. So that's going to be a big change for people. I want to be really clear how that is going to happen. Is there anything else?
And it's with a lot of other changes. We appreciate that it's a change to the recycling. It's a change to the collection cycle for garbage. It's a change with the addition of the organics program. So, I think there's, we'll continue to strive to make sure we communicate to the public, put resources out there on our website, and through social media so that people are aware of what those changes are and timelines, because they are different. They're not all in sync as well. So.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we missed? Anything else you want to highlight?
Yeah, I think when we talk about recycling too, I think residents in Woodstock and Southwest Oxford will probably see the biggest change where they've been used to municipal staff providing that service. So now it'll be by a private contractor.
Right.
Where in the rest of the county,
we're used to a private contractor contracted by the county.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So
okay. Well, thanks for listening. Hopefully this was another good podcast. Again, this is an experiment we're trying, so let us know what you thought of it, so we know if it's good or not, and if it's the topics that you want to hear from us on. Where you can learn more is at oxfordcounty.ca/speakup, and you can follow us through the year. We're going to plan to do more of these as we come up with the topics, but by all means, as you go to speak up, tell us what you want to hear from us about, and what you thought of the ones that we've done, what you want to hear more or less of, and details, and we will let you know as soon as the next podcast is up, and we will see you then. Thanks.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.